I've said a lot. Hype makes you stupid. And I don't mean that to be insulting to anybody. I say it because hype puts up blinders. And when you're hyped for something, you stop seeing the warning signs, you stop seeing concerning stuff with it, and instead you just buy into the most bare bones marketing jargon that these executives put out without so much as a second thought. We saw it with Starfield in full form when I was like, hey, believe it or not, the Creation Engine 2, still the Creation Engine. It's going to have all the problems that the Creation Engine has. Nothing's going to magically change because it's the same thing it's always been. You know, that I can't believe I have to say this, but that's what it's going to be. And I got hate for it. I've talked about this before, but there was a creator I was going to do a collaboration with on the Creation Engine 2, and I had talked to them about it, and we were going to do it. And basically, they were like, so what exactly do you want to do on the video? And I was like, I want to debunk the idea that the Creation Engine 2 is going to be this crazy revamp of the engine. I want to go through how it's just marketing crap that they're trying to say it's a brand new engine that's going to be totally different. I think it's going to have all of the same issues as the Creation Engine from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. It's just marketing to rewrap it as the Creation Engine 2. And he backed out and basically ghosted me for the collaboration because he had bought into the marketing hype as well. And now a lot of those videos that creator made back then don't look very good because obviously it was just marketing. And all of those problems with the Creation Engine are still there today. So, you know, I don't hate to say I told you so. I love it. I relish it. I told you so. So, like hype, though, in that situation, he was getting hyped for the game and it put blinders up and he wasn't able to see the forest for the trees, right? As the saying goes. He was so fixated on this one individual thing he was really excited for, he forgot and couldn't see the broader picture. So, with this, I'm seeing the warning signs. There's not just warning signs. There's like, you know, the opening of, yeah, it's this. Okay. This isn't just a red flag. Okay. This is like the Les Miserables full on flag swinging from the top of the barricade. This is what we're dealing with right now. Okay. Just oceans of red flags. Okay. That's what we're dealing with. Specifically with Light No Fire. Now I want to say Light No Fire seems interesting. Okay, this is the next game coming from Hello Games. These are the guys that did No Man's Sky, which obviously had a lot of hype around it. And so a lot of people are very, very interested in this. And let's be honest, they have done an amazing job, a phenomenal job of winning back players and turning around No Man's Sky. I mean, it started as just a travesty, and they've turned it into an incredibly impressive and vast in scope game. There's a ton there. Like there's so much with No Man's Sky. I don't even know how you would begin breaking it down for new players. It's ridiculously huge. And they've added a ton of stuff. I mean, it's very, very impressive. So now they're talking about their next game that they've been working on for 5 years with a small team. According to Sean Murray, they said it's around, I think he said 12 people working on it. So that's interesting. He talked about this at the Game Awards and then shared a trailer. And there were some jokes. I mean, Jeff was like, oh no, here it goes. Here we go again. It's starting again. And everybody's kind of joking about him over-promising and under-delivering. But I think the joke is not being like acknowledged by a lot of people. And a lot of people are just... They're just, I think they're starting to maybe fall for it is not the right term. I think Sean Murray isn't trying to deceive anybody. I think he just has a problem with setting reasonable expectations. And he's very good at selling games for somebody that's not a salesman, but he gets himself into trouble a lot because with gamers, especially the types of gamers that this type of game appeals to, you have to be very, very on top of it and very specific with what is in the game, what isn't. Scope, understanding this is being made by 12 people. It's not going to be ridiculously massive. Okay. Like we just have to be very clear. So this is the trailer that they dropped. We'll just go through it real quick. And then we're going to talk about what we actually are seeing. A multiplayer Earth. So before he announced this, how he described it was that it's like No Man's Sky, but sort of inverted. So No Man's Sky is about giving you a universe, galaxies and galaxies of stars and planets to explore. This is like that, but flipped on its head. And so it's an Earth-sized planet to explore. And frankly, I think this would have been a much better thing for like Bethesda to do for Starfield. I think if they had done this and given you a massive sci-fi planet to explore, or a few, that would have been way better than 1,000 planets that were all really uninteresting. And already just here, I mean, what you're seeing on screen now, I think is more interesting visually and in terms of biomes and setup. I think this is way more interesting than anything you see in No Man's Sky. In No Man's Sky, it's all like very little variability. It's like, oh, this planet looks kind of red and has these weird purple trees, and then this planet is kind of blue with green trees. It's just not very varied. So I think this looks really compelling, and apparently it is a planet, I believe he implied, larger than the actual Earth, but that you can play with your friends on. You can all play together, and so it's probably limited to like North America. Different servers will have, you know, their own player caps, but presumably there could be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of players on a single planet all playing together, which is really cool. It's a really interesting concept. I like it. And they show rocks falling apart. Okay. And then the logo pull. And there we are with the guy standing on the thumb, and it's called Light No Fire. So after seeing that trailer, what's the takeaway? My takeaway is that it's a cool concept. There's like some building. It looks like there's boats and stuff. There's a badger flying like hummingbirds. I don't know what you do in the game though. If this is like allowing you to build bases and stuff, that's okay. That could be fun. You see them building stuff, collecting wood and logs and everything. That could be cool. And maybe that's enough. I mean, it could be that this is purely like your standard survival game, and so you have to collect resources, you go, you build different stuff, and that's what it is. That's okay. Minecraft is built basically on that premise, and it's fantastic, you know, and extremely impressive. Maybe this is just like an evolution of Minecraft. That could be really, really cool. I'm open to it. But in terms of what we've actually seen of gameplay loops, there's almost nothing here. Like, yeah, you can break trees, build stuff. I mean, yeah, you can go around. There are like these dynamically placed things. So exploration is, I'm sure, a part of it. Discovering different things, maybe tying you into a little bit of a story that's kind of vaguely told. But there's really not much here to conclude what is happening or what you're supposed to do or how they keep you engaged for days, weeks, months, years of gameplay, right? So I think this is an interesting concept, but I don't think we have any information to actually make any sort of informed, I guess, conclusion. Like, this is one of those instances where you just simply say, oh, that's cool. We'll wait to see more. That's all you got to do. I don't think it looks bad, but I don't think it looks particularly great. I think it's an interesting idea that we'll see if they can execute. With No Man's Sky, they did not execute it, and it took them years to build it up to the point where they delivered on most of what they had promised. But already, I mean, people are starting to lose track of this, okay? This trailer is at 5.9 million views. Basically took what they got good at with No Man's Sky and went ham to make it a whole ass game on one planet. Pretty cool, guys. I approve. This looks great. Take your time, guys. It's done when it's done. True. This looks very promising. I'm really interested to see how exploring such a world would be dealt with. Some random thoughts. I hope exploration is non-trivial, even challenging. I really love the idea of exploration being something that you must prepare for, commit to, and possibly fail rather than just being able to walk the park. It's a strength of Subnautica. Totally agree. I hope the world will not be too filled with stuff. Scarcity and empty areas make all that. Yeah, I mean, Bethesda said that in those reviews, responses to reviews. It's like, well, the astronauts weren't bored when they went to the moon, so you shouldn't be bored. So interesting, you know, people. It looks amazing, absolutely beautiful. Love you all. Cool, cool, cool. So lots of people very, very excited. And I've started to get messages and people being like, oh, this looks pretty amazing. What are you going to say now? Somebody sent a message to me and they're like, so you've been pretty harsh on Sean Murray for No Man's Sky. I bet you feel pretty silly now after seeing Light No Fire. I'm like, oh my God, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. If we do a side-by-side look, this was put together by Random 5. People like, this guy took the two trailers and just put them side by side. Then you come out of the water, you see the animals flying overhead, flashes of different biomes and areas, the forests. Like it's very close. It's very, very close, you know? I think it definitely looks way better, but again, like they don't have a great track record. Okay. They've won back a lot of people, but this is a new game. This is something different than No Man's Sky. And it's being put together by a very small team. Okay. And small teams aren't magic. This was the whole story of No Man's Sky, is that this is not, these guys are not magical. They don't have magical abilities. They are limited by the laws of physics. Okay. So it's not going to magically change what 12 people are able to put together just because you're really hyped for it. Okay. And in this case, there were a lot of scripted sequences that weren't in the game at launch, which, you know, was quite deceptive. I understand that they ended up like cutting a lot of stuff and it didn't work in the game, so they had to cut it. So they thought it was going to be in the game when they put it together, but you know, when they put the trailer together, but then they had to cut it. I get all of that. There are mitigating circumstances, but still the perception to the players that it's just deceptive. I mean, to me, the trailers are pretty similar. The logos are also very, very similar. It makes me wonder if this is part of like the same universe, you know, like very similar vibe to the logos. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but maybe.